Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Inner Compass, the space where we talk about what it really means to grow, to heal, and to live in alignment with who you truly are. I'm your host, and today we're unpacking something deeply personal, something that sits quietly in the background of almost every decision we make, every relationship we invest in, every boundary we hold or choose not to hold. Today we're talking about self-respect, not confidence, not self-esteem, not self-love, though all of those things are connected, but self-respect, the foundation beneath all of it. And I want to share some stories, some mine, some borrowed from life around us, about what it looks like to lose your self-respect, what it feels like to rebuild it, and how that rebuilding changes everything. So settle in, get comfortable, maybe grab a journal if that's your thing, and let's talk. Part 1. What is self-respect, really? Self-respect is such a quiet thing. It doesn't shout. It doesn't brag. It doesn't need to make an entrance. Self-respect is the moment you look in the mirror and recognize the person staring back at you. It's the feeling that your choices, your words, your boundaries, and your behavior match the inner blueprint of who you believe yourself to be. It's integrity with yourself. A lot of us think we have self-respect because we appear put together. We speak confidently. We seem decisive. We look responsible. But self-respect is not an appearance, it's a lived experience. It shows up in the relationships you choose, the things you tolerate, how you talk to yourself, the boundaries you enforce, what you walk away from, what you stay committed to. Self-respect is the quiet way you tell the world, this is who I am, and this is how I deserve to be treated. But here, the truth. Most people don't realize they've lost their self-respect until it's already gone. Part 2. How we lose our self-respect. There's no dramatic moment where self-respect just slips away. It's rarely loud or obvious. Usually it's a slow erosion, a gradual leak. It starts with one small compromise. You say yes when you really want to say no. You excuse someone's behavior even though it hurts you. You promise yourself, this is the last time, and then you don't follow through. You convince yourself that your needs are too much, or that asking for more makes you difficult or demanding. And slowly, one choice at a time, you drift away from yourself. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine once told me about the moment she realized she had lost her self-respect. She was in a relationship, not an abusive one, not toxic in any obvious way, but she found herself shrinking to make the other person more comfortable. She stopped expressing her opinions. She apologized excessively. She let small hurts slide because she didn't want to upset him. One day, she heard herself saying, "It's okay, don't worry about it," to something that very much wasn't okay. And the instant those words left her mouth, she felt this hollow echo in her chest, like a place where her voice should have been was suddenly empty. She later told me, "It wasn't that he disrespected me. It was that I kept disrespecting myself." And that's it, right? Self-respect isn't lost because of what people do to us. It's lost because of what we allow ourselves to accept. Part 3. What it feels like to betray yourself. Betraying yourself doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels like exhaustion. Sometimes it feels like numbness. Sometimes it feels like confusion, anxiety, or that weird tightness in your chest when you know something doesn't sit right, but you're ignoring it anyway. Self-betrayal feels like staying silent when you want to speak, laughing something off when it genuinely hurt, playing small to be liked, agreeing to things you resent, pretending your standards don't matter, feeling disconnected from your own decisions. It's like your inner voice is tapping on the inside of your skull saying, "Hey, this isn't us." And every time you ignore that voice, you teach yourself, subconsciously, that your inner guidance doesn't matter. Imagine how you'd feel if you had a friend who constantly ignored your needs. A friend who left you out to dry. A friend who said, "I won't let that happen again," and then let it happen again the very next week. Eventually, you'd lose trust in that friend. When you betray yourself, that friend is you. Part 4, the turning point. There is always a moment, sometimes small, sometimes explosive, when something in you wakes up. For some people, it's heartbreak. For others, it's burnout. Sometimes it's a confrontation. Sometimes it's a mirror. But that moment is powerful because it's the exact second you realize, I'm tired of ignoring myself. I had a moment like that once. I remember sitting alone, feeling confused about why I was so unhappy. On paper, everything seemed fine, but I felt this deep sense of misalignment, like I had drifted off course. And when I asked myself the hard question, where did it all start? I realized it wasn't one big thing. It was 100 small ways. I had told myself that my own needs were optional. The moment you realize this, you can't unsee it. You can't unknow that you've been abandoning yourself. And that realization hurts. But it's also the beginning of healing. Part 5, rebuilding self-respect. Rebuilding self-respect is not glamorous. It's not a glow-up montage. It's not about suddenly becoming confident and unshakable. Rebuilding self-respect is mostly uncomfortable work. It's quiet. It's repetitive. It's humbling. And it starts with one simple rule. 1. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Not the big promises. Not the life-changing commitments. I mean the small ones. I'm going to stop responding to people who drain me. I'm going to tell the truth about how I feel. I'm going to rest when I'm tired. I'm going to say no when I mean no. Self-respect grows every time you prove to yourself that you can rely on you. 2. Say no without guilt. You cannot respect yourself while constantly abandoning your boundaries. No is not a rejection. No is not a punishment. No is not selfish. No is a fence around your peace. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you say yes to something that restores you. 3. Stop negotiating your worth. Your worth is not a coupon that other people get to clip. You don't have to earn respect by being agreeable, impressive, attractive, smart enough, nice enough, or low maintenance. Your worth is inherent. Self-respect is accepting that fact, even when other people don't. 4. Choose environments where you can be honest. You cannot maintain self-respect in places that punish authenticity. If you have to hide your boundaries to be accepted, if you have to shrink to be loved, if you have to censor yourself to be safe, your self-respect will erode. Surround yourself with people who don't just tolerate your truth, they make space for it. 5. Apologize to yourself and do better. We talk a lot about forgiving others, but rarely about forgiving ourselves. At some point, you'll have to look in the mirror and say, I'm sorry for abandoning you. I'm sorry for doubting you. I'm sorry for all the times I chose peace outside of me instead of peace within me. But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving again. This is the moment your healing begins. Part 6, the difference between self-respect and ego. Self-respect is calm. Ego is loud. Self-respect says, I deserve to be treated well. Ego says, I deserve to be treated better than everyone else. Self-respect sets boundaries. Ego creates walls. Self-respect allows accountability. Ego avoids responsibility. Self-respect makes you self-aware. Ego makes you self-centered. When you rebuild your self-respect, you don't become arrogant. You become grounded, centered, aligned. You no longer need validation to feel safe. You no longer need approval to feel worthy. You no longer need permission to be yourself. Part 7, what happens when you regain your self-respect? Everything changes. And I don't say that lightly. Because self-respect shifts how you walk, talk, choose, love, and exist. When you stop chasing people, rejection no longer destroys you. Disapproval no longer defines you. You stop begging for crumbs because you realize you deserve a full meal. 2. You become very selective with your energy. You don't give your time to chaos. You don't tolerate inconsistency. You don't entertain disrespect disguised as humor. Your presence becomes intentional. 3. Your boundaries become non-negotiable. Not because you're harsh, but because you're healed. Boundaries stop feeling like walls and start feeling like self-care. 4. You start attracting better relationships. People who value self-respect can sense it in others. When you walk with dignity, you draw in people who treat you with dignity. When you stand firm in your standards, you attract people who meet them. 5. You trust yourself again. This is the real win. You stop second-guessing. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for existing. You become someone you rely on. Someone you respect. Someone you're proud of. Part 8. The ongoing practice. Self-respect is not a destination. It's a daily practice. Some days you'll show up fully aligned. Other days you'll slip. You'll say yes when you meant no. You'll choose comfort over growth. You'll let old habits take the wheel. That's okay. Just don't abandon yourself again. Every day is another opportunity to come back home to who you are. Every boundary you reinforce. Every honest conversation you have. Every choice that honors your truth is a brick in the foundation of your self-respect. And if you keep building, that foundation becomes unshakable. Part 9. A message to the listener who needs this. Before I close, I want to speak directly to the version of you who feels like you've lost your self-respect. Maybe you stayed longer than you should have. Maybe you lowered your standards to feel loved. Maybe you ignored the red flags, theirs and your own. Maybe you pretended you were okay with things that broke your heart. Maybe you abandoned your dreams because someone told you they were unrealistic. Maybe you silenced yourself because someone made you feel too loud. Listen, you are allowed to start over with yourself. You are allowed to redefine your boundaries. You are allowed to reclaim your voice. You are allowed to forgive who you used to be. Self-respect isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. Every day you choose yourself, even in small ways, you rebuild the trust you once broke. And one day, not too far from now, you'll look at your life and realize, I don't abandon myself anymore. And that, right there, is freedom.